But it was like 5 to 10 million per coin or something.
Bitcoin continues to fly higher. And this is something that very few people expected. Now, we were telling you that this would happen for months, and here it is happening. Subscribe to our channel, Altcoin Daily, for your daily edge on the crypto markets. But we need answers on this pump. Why is Bitcoin pumping this hard? Is this BlackRock? Is this Joe Biden's Federal Reserve? By the way, who controls Bitcoin? In this video, we answer that. And most importantly, how high can Bitcoin go? That's what I really want to know. How high can Bitcoin go? All of these questions are about to be answered over the next 8 minutes. Guys, the Bitcoin train is leaving the station. Hopefully your friends and family are well informed by now and don't miss out. Send this video to someone in your family who's interested in crypto and needs to learn more. Also, please take 2 seconds and lightly tap the like button. More people will know about Bitcoin if you hit the thumbs up. So, let's answer the first question. Bitcoin expert Anthony Pompliano on CNBC Squawk Box, help us out. Why is Bitcoin pumping? Pump, what do you ascribe this move to? Listen.
What do you ascribe the move to?
Yeah, Bitcoin is a free market asset, and I think one of the things people forget in finance is that markets are forward-looking. And so what we're seeing here is people are allocating to an asset that they believe is going to go up in the future, obviously. Things that will drive that are the Bitcoin ETF, but as people are allocating to this, 70% of the circulating supply of Bitcoin has not moved in a year. The reason why that's important is this is an $800 billion asset that has gone up 150% over the last 12 months. So when an asset goes up 150%, you would expect people to sell into the strength, kind of take profits. That's not happening. And so Bitcoiners are not selling that Bitcoin. They're not going to sell it to Wall Street. And so Wall Street's going to have to continue to bid up the price.
Oh, okay. So this Bitcoin pump is because Bitcoin hodlers, both retail and institutions alike, are not selling 70%. But this 70% number, the thing is, it's been close to this level for years now. We need extreme clarity here. Can you just elaborate on this pump?
So the 70%, that has not changed, not just this past year, but by the way, that has not changed, I don't think, for many, many years.
It's always been very high. 70% is the all-time high, so it's been creeping up, which has this reflexive kind of feedback loop, right? So if more people won't sell and price goes up, then price continues to go up even more rapidly.
Okay.
But wait a minute. Is this pump really because of BlackRock? People anticipating BlackRock ETF and buying? Or is this because of Joe Biden? Joe Biden's anticipated macro conditions next year. Federal Reserve is expected to lower interest rates in 2024. Andrew Sorkin here, just like my family member who I sent this video to, seems very skeptical of Bitcoin and all this. Pompliano, help him out.
The move, I think, seemed to happen as a function of this idea that the Federal Reserve, the new wisdom, whether it's conventional or otherwise, or right even, is that they're going to ultimately have to turn things around and lower interest rates sometime in 2024. Is that what you ascribe? I mean, there was the ETF piece, and everyone said, oh, over here, it's the ETF piece. And now everyone says, oh, no, it's actually this.
Markets are forward-looking, and if you go back to 2021, Bitcoin started to fall as soon as the Fed started talking about we are going to cut rates. And so people were like, oh, wait a second, inflation is high in the summer of 2022. Why is Bitcoin falling? It's supposed to be this inflation hedge asset. But it was because Bitcoin and the holders saw what was going to happen. Same thing's happening right now. Bill Ackman's betting that interest rates are going to get cut in Q1. The market's pricing at 100% likelihood of an interest rate cut in Q2. Bitcoiners right now and people who want Bitcoin say it's going to happen even earlier.
By the way, Pump is a guy that I trust and I follow. I'm very happy I've been following this guy. I get a lot of alpha from him, and I'm always sharing what I research, the alpha I find about crypto with you here on Altcoin Daily, this YouTube channel, because I find, and let's see if you agree with me on this, I find that there are so many unhelpful people on TV talking about crypto. Like Jim Cramer here. Bitcoin is up 82% since Jim Cramer told investors to sell Bitcoin. This was 9 months ago when the price of Bitcoin was $25K. He told you to sell.
Bitcoin went up today, and I could argue that now it can't even be held in banks. Bitcoin's a strange animal. I will say point blank, I think it's being manipulated up. It was being manipulated the whole time by Sam Bankman-Fried. So please don't assume, therefore, that it's not still being manipulated. And I would sell my Bitcoin right into this rally. And believe me, I had been a believer one time in Bitcoin. Not here, not now.
So let's get back to Pump. You said 70% is hodling, But what about that 30%? What about that unknown 30%? Who is actually buying?
The other 30% that is moving.
Yes.
Do you think that, I mean, I don't know if you can look through some of the numbers. Are those new buyers? Are those the old buyers who owned the original 70% saying, I want more? What is that?
So it's interesting when you look at the data. It's a little bit of everything, right? There's definitely more accumulation happening. So people who already had Bitcoin are continuing to buy more Bitcoin. An interesting statistic is if you dollar cost average every single day with $10 from January 1st until now, you're up 100%. So with all the boom, the bust, everything in between, a Bitcoin analyst, Dylan LeClaire, pointed out, you're up 100%. So just dollar cost averaging alone gave you a great return. Now, there's also this net new wave of capital coming in. So you have the institutions, but also you have a bunch of people sitting on the sidelines saying, well, if BlackRock wants Bitcoin, maybe I should buy some as well. And so that net new capital is definitely starting to come in, but I don't think we're actually going to see it until the gun goes off.
A big question that new people always ask me is who actually controls Bitcoin? Obviously not Bitcoin, the network, it's decentralized, but I'm talking about like the country as far as ownership of the asset goes, and also both the ownership of the asset, which like countries hold most of the Bitcoin, and also which countries control most of the mining and the hash rate of Bitcoin. Listen.
What is the share right now internationally of ownership of Bitcoin? Meaning, is it predominantly in the United States? Is it predominantly in China? If you were to make a pie chart of the ownership on a globe, what would that look like?
So let's separate Bitcoin and hash rate. Hash rate, about 35% or so, is in the United States. When China banned mining, the United States was the big winner there.
Right.
Ownership's a little bit harder because there's so many wallets that we don't know exactly geographically where they are. But you can see capital flows. The United States and Asia seem to really be driving a lot of the capital flows right now. The European region is actually a little bit behind and not allocating nearly as much. And so I think that America is going to be a big winner in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency race. We see companies being built here. Coinbase being a fantastic example, up 330% over the last year to date. And what we've watched is regulators have stepped in and they basically are slapping the wrist of anyone who is not operating within the American financial system.
So how high can Bitcoin actually go? Make sure you give us a follow and a like. We're going to be sharing with you a lot more expert takes over the next few weeks. If Bitcoin investors are right, let's say I've come around, I'm going to buy a little bit of Bitcoin. How high can the price actually go? You can't really start off a Bitcoin price prediction lately without referencing the most bullish individual on Bitcoin on the planet. The man, the myth, the legend himself, Michael Saylor. And by the way, he never got margin called.
Michael Saylor, has had, I guess down at 17,000, there were people that thought that he was going to get like a margin call or something. He's back now. I don't know how much he bought. Something like, how much?
He's got 174,000 Bitcoin. He's up $2 billion on it.
He made some weird comment the other day, and that was about what percentage of global financial system, in his view, Bitcoin will represent at some point. And then he did some simple math and came out with some crazy number. What was it? I saw it.
There's all kinds of numbers that fly around.
But it was like 5 to 10 million per coin or something was what he came up with.
If Bitcoin just simply matches gold, it'd be $500,000. If it's
500,000 if it matched.
Just matches gold at $10 trillion. Now, if you continue to look at other assets it could eat into, if you have $1 today and you want to store wealth, you historically could have bought gold, you could have bought fine art, you could have bought all kinds of real estate, whatever.
Hard asset.
Young people are saying to themselves, I want to buy the hardest asset I can find, which tends to be Bitcoin. And it's liquid, and it is the best performing asset over the last 10 years.
But it's not. But the Saylor question is how much of it becomes part of the quote unquote financial system, and is he suggesting that there has to be a payments element or an actual transaction element?
But he was saying gold. You weren't saying a payment. If it became part of the payment system, it could be much bigger.
Well, but it also, if it became part of, this goes back to, can it really be part of the payment system and have and continue to increase? Because as we've discussed a million times, if it keeps increasing, nobody's ever going to use it.
Except there's that company we had on that uses just little tiny little pieces
Here's
of
what
Bitcoin
I would say. Whenever
to
I
do
talk
it,
to
and
someone-
it doesn't matter the little minuscule variations on a daily basis.
Whenever I
it
talk to
wouldn't
someone in
matter.
private and they ask me about Bitcoin, I tell them it's very simple. If you think that the Federal Reserve and other central banks are going to have to print capital or print money in order to finance all of this debt, then you're going to want to be in something other than dollars, and therefore
You've got to get
Bitcoin
Andrew
is
on
going to be
board.
an
You're still
amazing
not on
return.
board.
I have been
you must be
curious.
Are you more
from
skeptical?
the beginning.
But at 25,000, you were really.
I was proudly early on my.
There was a number you once said that if it hit, that you would think about buying it for your kids.
At
$5,000.
$5,000.
Right. But at 25, you were really saying this is way too. Now it's 42. You got to eventually throw in the towel. What number where you'll say I believe in it? 100?
Well, I just think it's because it's such a abstract concept that it's like
But it's
a
not
non-existent thing, even though I know it's a thing for some people. I think
But
a lot
all
of people
money
look at it and go,
pump.
maybe. I know it's a very philosophical
but
situation.
aren't there like sick? You can describe why gold is worth something. It's not because it's pretty, and it's not because it's used in jewelry. It's because it's immutable. It's cross-cultural. There's only so much around, and these are the characteristics of money since the beginning of time.
Everybody has gold in their portfolio.
Correct.
No,
go back to the war.
as a store of value. Is what
This
I'm
is
talking
the.
about.
Yeah.
It's like if you understand the distributed ledger nature of Bitcoin, you can see that it can represent barter for something.
Here's one of
done.
the crazy parts about this is a lot of people who question Bitcoin's efficacy or legitimacy, they're using a worldview that is dominant in traditional finance. Things like intrinsic value, things like efficient market hypothesis, etc.
It's a very.
What we're watching though
God
is
bless him, Charlie Munger view of the world. Absolutely.
Yeah, and by the way, you've been right for 50 years having that worldview. I think that Bitcoiners are coming into the market and they're saying, wait a second, there's a different view of the world. Something like intrinsic value. If you and I both look at an asset and I tell you the intrinsic value is X, you say it's Y. Obviously, there's no intrinsic value. It's just what our opinion is, right? Same thing with efficient market hypothesis. And I think what Bitcoin's really doing is it's showing there's this new view of the world. So far, it's been right. And if it continues to be right, there will be trillions of dollars that flow into the asset.